What's going on, family? It's yours truly, Mr. T Love Talks Podcast, in the building for another episode of T Love Talks. And today, family, I had to bring to your attention something that a lot of brothers are not talking about. And it's women's looks. It's the appeal of a woman and how that shit can sucker you into a life of chasing behind a woman that does not respect you, nor does she want you, but she figures out ways that she can use you. So, again, the title of today's show is You Can't Trust the Big Button and Smile. I know the thing good that, bah, bah. I know that thing good to slap on, you know what I'm saying? And, sometimes as men, we like to put our face in there, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think that song from who was that? New Edition or Bell Divorce, excuse me. I think that song it spoke volumes to what we're seeing right now in society because for some reason women feel like, they got a nice posterior. Um it's actually a form of validation for modern women that have, them pokers, that onion, that don't, as we call it in, down south, you know what I mean? It does give women a false sense of reality, in my opinion. And I think the moment that men stop validating a woman based off of her posterior, her anus, the thing that she crap out of, once we get to a point where we can eliminate um that being a focal point, I really believe the world would be a better place. And I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of times as men, we'll focus on, that woman, the curvy woman. She got the papa, you know what I mean? She got that, you know what I'm saying, back there. And I think what we forget a lot of times in that process, while you're chasing that woman with all of that, you forget about the women that are actually, um, the type of women that actually pay attention to detail and are concerned, genuinely concerned about how you're moving in your life, and they're genuinely concerned about, the things that you do. They want to be a part of it, and 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 women like that show attention to detail, oftentimes um it's hard to deny a woman like that, in so many words. So even if this woman may not be your um ideal woman, by her paying attention to the things that are important to you. And I'll use an example like this, like it was years ago when I was dating a woman, and she was consistent as far as finding out the things that I like. And when it came time for special occasions like, a holiday or my birthday, which I feel like that's the only holiday that exists anyway. But she would remember the things that I said, and she would actually surprise me with those things. And I think that's something that a lot of men are not receiving from modern women. The chase of that ass. And again, some of these women ass is so delicious looking. Sometimes you just lose your thoughts as a man, because again, as men, we have that more of that animalistic territorial energy. We see something and we want it, we gonna go after it. And I think this sometimes, again, when doing this, you miss out. And not to say it's anything, by all means, there's nothing wrong with a woman that's got a big butt and a smile. The only problem is most of these women have this entitlement, and most men don't vet a woman enough to see how she's gonna be helpful in his life. It's just all about having that eye candy. And trust me, I have been a victim of eye candy. Luckily, I'm handsome as hell. I got some height on me. I got a little charisma, a little swag. I could sing. I haven't had some of the problems that a lot of brothers have. And I'm always like calling shit out. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they just go with the punch. If you got a bad woman, sometimes you just go with the punches. You're trying to keep your woman happy. But that's something that a lot of men need to start identifying with, old and young. Like, I'm serious, man. You can't be out here giving your all, investing into these bras, and they ain't reciprocating the type of energy that you need back into your life for the things that you're doing. And you know, I think that's why a lot of guys get caught up with women that have kids. Not saying they're bad people, but again, a woman that's got a big old posterior with a small waist, she got 3 or 4 kids. You ain't really thinking about those kids. You thinking about getting with that woman. And after a while, you may get used to that woman. You may start sleeping with her, and you may figure out that I don't want this kitty cat to go nowhere. I got to have this. So what comes along with that a lot of times, if you're the type of man that you want to be serious with this woman, then you're gonna wind up, you know, being responsible for her, and you're gonna be responsible for her children. And years ago I would hear guys say, well, if a woman got grown kids or whatever, then you know, she got her kids out the house, she can focus on you. But that's not necessarily true, because I remember as a young man and my brothers, and I remember as grown men, we were young men, but once we left the nest, we still needed help from our parents. Like, you just don't leave the nest and not need help. And then a lot of times, um, you know, uh, these single mothers, they raise their sons to be uh, kind of dependent on them. So if you're the type of man that you're gonna date a woman that has older sons, let's say they out the house, 9 times out of 10, they're still gonna need that mom for things. And it works the same way with daughters as well. Society, makes it a little bit easier for the young ladies. But with that being said, it's something to think about. I remember someone telling me a story about and this was a lady that was telling a story about, a man that she was dating, high school sweethearts. And, life came in, they went their separate ways. And later on in life, they wind up, hooking back up. But later on, the guy, he wound up being married, divorced, and he had a couple of daughters out of the situation. They were grown at this time. And basically what happened is the guy, he wanted to marry this lady. And the daughters from the man actually sabotaged the relationship because they did not like the woman. And, I mean, just from the outside looking in, this was a really nice lady. It was a friend of the family. And, when I look back at it, I get it, because I was uh, a young man that, even though I grew up in the household with both my parents, I understand the process of maybe needing your parents later on in life, and also the process of maybe not um, liking who your parents interact with. I never had to deal with any other, like step or anything like that. But again, it may have just been, my parents getting older and me having to, you know, uh, deal with people who they were interacting with to make sure it was safe and fair, because they're older people. But all I'm saying is those children will always be in that woman's life. And that's something that men have to recognize and understand. If you are going to make a sacrifice, and it is a sacrifice, if you date women with kids, for some reason, a lot of women don't feel like it's a sacrifice. And they feel like, if you start dating them, you start tapping that box. That's part of your responsibility. And, like I've gotten like some really heated battles with, my exes that had children that expected me to, do certain things. Or let's just say it like this: I expected them to do certain things for their own children, which they thought I should have been a part of it, which is fine. But again, understand that it's a rewardless job when you're doing that, because 9 times out of 10, once those children leave the nest, go off, do whatever they do, they ain't even gonna think about your ass. You probably never hear from them if you and that person don't work out. The only way you do is maybe you're still with that person. But and just going back to what we're talking about again, I think to round it up, you got to deal with a person's character. You must deal with a person's character and a person's intention, and you have to investigate, you know, as TK Kirkland like to say, who raised you? Who raised you? Because I need to know if you was raised by a pack of wolves opposed to, being in a household with a masculine father and a feminine mother. I need to know the details of that. You know, so again, I see a lot of times where in society, you know, you got these different scenarios where uh it's basically a lot of women, single mothers, they'll put their daughters in a position to have this pretty girl mentality. I'm this, I'm that. Men should do this for me. You're special, you're the world, which is nothing wrong with feeling special, for God's sake. You came out of the cerebral spinal fluid of a man, from his thoughts, into from an unseen realm to a physical world, and there was thousands of sperms that you had to race with to get to that egg. Yes, I get it. We're all special. But once you come to this plane, depending on the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you have, is going to dictate, how you live this life. So what I would say with that is, you know yourself, do some research, because once you do research on yourself and you find out who you are, uh you have the potential to view the world from a wider, broader perspective. You're just not in this box. Your thought process, it transcends what the world is doing. It does that. you know but I want the young men to know, man. And look at me, fellas, look at me when I'm talking to you. This Uncle T Love here. When choosing a mate, make sure that it's someone that pays attention to detail for the things that you need in your life. And I make this point a lot of times because, women will use this, I cook and clean for my man, this, that, and the third. Let me tell you something. If you the type of man that you a neat freak, shit, you clean better than most women, you know, you get your gourmet on. You don't like a lot of salt in your food. Your food tastes delicious when you cook it. Truth be told, you really don't need a woman for cooking and cleaning. You know, your thing may be companionship. Your thing may be sex, intimacy. Your thing may be, oh well, shit. I need a woman, you know, uh, to be my secretary. I need her to file things away. I got this going. I got that going. You know, a woman is there for a man's process of his progress. Shout out to BOA. I mean, if you got this big butt around you with this cute smile and she does nothing for the process of your progress, then what you got her for? What's the monogamy for? What is it for, family? Why do you have someone around you with this big old butt that you like, ah, 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 that you like going ham on for 5, 10, 15, sometimes 30, sometimes 45 minutes, and then thrill is gone. And you be like, shit. I'm gonna be honest with you, shit. The majority of modern women, they don't have a whole lot of intelligence, fam, so that you can have intellectual conversations with them. And I know men like myself, we like to have we like to have intellectual conversations with our woman. And a lot of times when you interacting with these girls, they fixated on superficial and mundane things that have no substance. And that shit don't mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. What are you talking about? Your homegirl, this, that, and the third with this. Bitch, I don't care about that. They ain't got nothing to do with me and my brand and what I'm doing here. They ain't got nothing to do with the business of my life. And see, that's what men get caught up at. You start dealing with the business of her life instead of your life. And all I'm saying is when you pick, she might have a big old ass, but let the attitude match the excellence of that onion back there, or that poker, that poop shooter, that don't. You know what I mean? That wagon. Let the attitude match the beauty in that. How about that? I heard the OG grown man business said, one of his partners said, if you keep chasing behind, you gonna end up behind. you know? And it's as simple as that a lot of times because again, a lot of us brothers, we want families, but you gotta pick a woman that's focused on you, buddy. You gotta pick a woman that her level of attention. I gotta keep going back to that word. Her level of attention to the things that you need. I give you an example, man. Some women have this intuition, and I would say find a woman with a good intuition over a fat ass, um, because like young lady I'm dating, Um, she brought me some stuff. I needed it. I didn't have to say, bring me that. I need that. She understood the assignment just because I had spoke it earlier, or she saw the need. Like, you got to focus on women that focus on you, man. It's nice to have that eye candy when you pull up at the barbecue, or you pull up at the club or the sporting event, or wherever you go at, man. It's an amazing thing to have a beautiful woman with you. But what I will tell you is the beauty is not always the exterior. The beauty comes from here, where the heart is. That's where the beauty comes from. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. I had to drop this today, man. You know, can't trust the big button to smile. But yeah, y'all go ahead and get in the comment section. Fellas, ladies, y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. It's yours truly, Mr. T Love, T Love Talks Podcast. I'm gonna try to start making shorter clips, because I see the attention span of folks is, you gotta kind of hit them with 10, 15, 30 minutes of content, and you get your audience like that, and then maybe y'all will come back and fool with me. One day I hope to be your favorite YouTuber. you know. So again, this is I've been doing this for a long time, man, but it's a process. It's a process. I don't like getting online talking about shit that don't make sense. There's a lot of people get online and talk about shit that don't make sense. So I like to give information to the brothers. I want you to become the best version of yourself. You know, every day you wake up, have that passion, have that drive. You know what I mean? Have that dog in you, like GMB say. You gotta have that dog. You ain't got that dog in you, man. Shit. Go ahead and put your tail in between your legs and scrattle down the street. But yeah, though, y'all, peace and love to the family. It's yours truly, Mr. T Love, T Love Talks Podcast. I'm gonna check y'all on the next one, all right? Peace.